Welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast that has the science and the screaming to determine what the best movie is of any given year. I'm your host, Mike Rafano, and this year is 1996, so cover yourself in gingham, find your Turbo Man, and choose life. Before I introduce this week's panelists, know this, that this show is also a game in which points are, of course, awarded for well-made arguments, cogent thoughts about the film, jokes, and anything else I gosh darn feel like awarding. The winner will be my best friend for a week and have gloating rights for the last time in accordance to 1996.
Oh, no.
And so, audience, say it along with me, whether you're walking your dog or driving your car or cleaning your toilet. Welcome to Earth, Ryan and Greg.
Thank you for having us.
Really hitting that TH there, Mike.
Please don't punch us in the head after you say it.
I'm trying right now, but it's very hard.
We're glad to be here. I can't believe this is the last movie of the season.
That scene is movie of the year summed up. Like the way that Mike drags us around in a parachute everywhere.
That's so true.
Sometimes he'll be like, "You stink so bad," and then kick us.
Yeah. That's just the way we smell.
What is that smell? Well, I'm looking fucking ripped. I haven't had a sip of water in days. My best friend just died, but I'm cracking wise. Oh, yeah.
I love how he crashes his plane in Arizona, and then I believe that's Utah that he's walking across, and for whatever reason he decides he's going to go the long way across the Salt Lake instead, or the Salt Flats, instead of going to like the nice green hills over there.
But there's no porn allowed there.
Oh my goodness.
And what, you're gonna drag that heavy ass alien up and down hills, Greg?
No, just cross your fingers and hope for a bunch of RVs.
Get to where
I always do.
Driving along 50 abreast.
This movie's Independence Day.
It's Independence Day was what we meant to say.
Now, I'm guessing your touch points are very similar. But I guess I should be proper. Don't talk all over each other. Greg, what is your history before this week of a little movie I like to call ID4?
Some of these movies that we watch, I literally haven't heard of. Like before the season starts, like Breaking the Waves. I had not heard of that. But as I was watching this, I was reflecting on the fact that like these movies, you hear about them like a year or two before they come out. There's like a little sneak preview teaser, and then they're like for 3 months, it's every bag of Doritos. Like the Taco Bells are covered in them. The sodas are all covered in them. So like this was like a reality we lived with for a long time through all of 96. Then finally the summer came and I was blown away. I thought there were a couple parts of it when I was a kid. I thought there were a couple parts that were stupid. I don't think I understood that the whole movie is stupid and that it's kind of the point. But I loved it when I was a kid, with a couple of parts that I thought were groaners. But besides that, I loved the action humor aspect of it.
Ryan?
It's funny. Last week we talked about The Birdcage and how we don't get movies like that anymore because broad comedies like that. And by broad, I don't mean like, there's pratfalls and stuff, but like all generations and demographics can go and laugh really hard in the movie theater. That's such a good movie theater movie. This is the movie theater movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is, if you didn't see it in movies with people jacked out of their fucking minds to watch it. I mean, like I have sort of fonder, bigger memories of seeing this opening night than Phantom Menace. Because
one movie is entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and I think that maybe we were so nervous before Phantom Menace, but there was no stakes.
We
here.
kind of knew.
Yeah.
Now looking back, everybody kind of knew. There's no way this is going to be good. And within 3 minutes, obviously,
right,
the whole theater knew. You could just feel it in the air.
Phantom Menace peaked with that dope poster that came out 2 years before of little Anakin with Darth Vader's shadow. Oh, they should have only made
the like opening trailer the first time you ever saw Darth Maul and the double lightsabers. Like, if you had stopped time then and been like, this is the absolute peak, we wouldn't have believed it, but it sure was.
Yeah, that's when the aliens should have attacked. And like, if we never got to see the movie. And like, I think that if you look at it like that, this movie delivers pretty much on every level. There is so much stupid stuff that everyone can find their own stupid thing. And that means that like there's not enough to necessarily weigh it down back then. Watching it now, I have to say that I genuinely had a good time. I think it's a really likable movie, despite doing everything it can to not make you think that.
It is stupid and honestly kind of disturbing. I don't want to Greg all over this movie, but like I do think that the bedrock understanding of human nature in this movie is the kind of like beginning or is part of like a corrupting influence that we feel years later, where people's like, I think movies like this helped form people's impression of the actual world in a way that has been very negative. And so I enjoyed watching this movie this time too, but a lot of like the messages in it, I was like, ooh, I don't know how this has aged, and not in like in a cringy way, but just like I think that the world that this movie helped to introduce us to was not a great thing.
Well, and I kind of think, like, I hope we get into this throughout the show, but like I kind of think that it is that perfect piece of pop culture in that it sort of shows exactly what life was like back then with the jingoism and like really how America felt about itself and aliens, legal or illegal. And then also it's that kind of thing when it appears in pop culture, it's dead. Like, it's all also very cringy after this point.
I feel like this movie was being super 90s without realizing it, like in a very honest way. And I do think it is a great cultural artifact because I think it captures the feeling of the land very effectively.
There, in David's office at the beginning of the movie, you see a shrine to vending machines. There's 15 vending machines abreast in a cube. That was 90s as hell.
I mean, I think there's a Hamlet from the 90s where like vending machines feature prominently. We love those things.
They're always going to be around. Let's take the quickest of breaks. And when we come back, dig into this movie. Hot off of his 1994 multimedia franchise launching Stargate, Roland Emmerich turned his landmark-obsessed ass from Egypt to America, replacing the pyramids of Giza with the White House, the Capitol Building, the Empire State Building, and LA's famous random skyscraper.
The round one.
Hot off of his franchise launching turn as Dr. Ian Malcolm in 1994's Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum plays a, I guess, slightly nerdier, but just as neurotic scientist David Levinson, who finds the alien code in static. Hot off of his turn in 1990 through 1996, self-franchise launching turn as Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith surprised the world with his ability to anchor the ensemble cast as the charming Captain Steve Hiller, who still has a best friend just as annoying as Jazz. Independence Day was the highest grossing film of the year, reinvigorated disaster movies in the 90s, and was hailed by most critics as a jingoistic, stereotypical sci-fi action movie with pretty damn good special effects. So taste buds, I ask you this. What is it about ID4 that makes it as successful as it is and was, where all other sci-fi disaster movies have come up short?
One thing I think this movie does effectively is early on, it somehow hits you over the head and you become dumb. And then everything that the movie does from that point forward, you just get excited about.
It hits you, a coconut falls at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And then not till the end does the second coconut fall, like putting you back to normal.
I heard, bear with me 1 second. I heard a story that when they gave Robert Loggia the part.
Robert Loggia?
That they said to him, someone accidentally said to him, go watch the movie Airplane. And what they meant was go watch the movie Airport. And I think that story captures like the feeling of this movie perfectly, because I'm not sure Airport makes more sense to watch than Airplane does. This movie is so goofy. I remember it being like a disaster movie. I did not remember that it never stops goofing on goofers the entire time. And honestly, I think the things that I thought were kind of dumb about it when I was a kid, I didn't realize that the whole enterprise is celebrating kind of a dumbness. Like,
I mean, I kind of think that, like, look, does it owe a shit ton to Star Wars and Jaws and so many things before it? Everything Spielberg, obviously. But it also is its own milestone in a way where this is sort of like the problem with AI creating stuff is that Independence Day was such a huge thing that we all needed. And I'll get to why in a second. And then everything after it, like the first thing that comes to my head, Emmerich made like 12 more of these fucking movies. Like, were, in my opinion, all bad. Like Day After Tomorrow, 2012, these are all shit movies. But then, to me, the dregs of it is Volcano and Dante's Peak. Because not only did they come out at the same time, which is so, like, clearly we're trying to do a thing, but those movies and so many movies like of their ilk are like, oh, just go, they're designed by the C-suite.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no, it's crazy to call Emmerich an auteur, but this movie is so him through and through and he just gets to do what he wants, whether it's dumb or not. Like, the person who took over this mantle for him is clearly Michael Bay. From here on out, Emmerich was just never as successful. But all of the goofiness is original in its way. And you put all of this together, and it just kind of makes this pot that you like despite itself.
I feel like it was very influential. And because it's influential, it's easy to lose sight of how unique it is. But like, this probably is too much to say, but is it too much to say that like we don't have like a Marvel universe in quite the way that Marvel exists without a movie like this that like is as dedicated to its scenes of comedy as it is its scenes of disaster and pathos and heroism, that like it is this kind of tonal melange that has become fairly standard now, but just feels like, I don't know, like if you watch Towering Inferno or Airport or Poseidon Adventure, they lean on the disaster, don't they? There's not like this same like sort of like charming, everything is a little bit of a joke.
They're very serious. Even Stargate is pretty self-serious.
There's not sense of humor in that movie.
Dude, Stargate is like, feels like every scene he's saying, I'm blowing your fucking mind. Huh? Like,
I'm making a new religion.
Stargate did not work for me as a guy who definitely leans more towards this as sci-fi than that. Stargate was kind of tedious. I remember seeing it as a kid. But yeah, going back to Greg's point, it almost feels like Kevin Feige just saw the like Harvey Fierstein deliver his lines in this movie, and he was like, "Oh, I can build a whole franchise from that." Just
which one's Harvey Fierstein?
It's like Jeff Goldblum's boss. I think.
Boss, yeah. He's like, I gotta call my mother.
Oh my God, David.
Yeah, yes. it's the only voice that we can all do. But yeah, like he's never funny. But like he's the kind of jokes that like people in the audience at the theater will laugh at because they're so jacked up together.
Yes,
and because they remember him from Mrs. Doubtfire,
right?
And that was a comedy, so he must be funny.
Also, this is the type of comedy where one part of the house laughs at one joke. How often have we been at a comedy, like the three of us together, watching a comedy film, and we're laughing at one type of jokes, and then the ones that we think of as groaners, like the other side of the theater is laughing at those. And if you want to make a broadly appealing comedy, that's how you do it, right? So like
if you want to make the biggest movie of your year.
Yeah, and that's it. Like it does have to appeal to everybody. Obviously, the funniest line by far is Randy Quaid sits down and decides that he's going to become a fighter pilot, and his son says, "Oh, this is really strong coffee," and he just says, "Keep it coming," even though he was shit-faced 3 seconds before that. That's the funniest part of the movie.
Focusing in on just the sci-fi of it, is it hard, even with where we're celebrating its dumbness, but at times is it harder for even the most surface level sci-fi fan to watch this and not become as annoyingly oppressive as Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I think the movie lures you into being like, how are they gonna? They're taking a computer virus that's like on an Apple computer, and they're somehow putting it onto the alien.
It's the Universal OS.
But the thing is, the aliens, all our technology is based on their technology. That was a very clever move on their part.
Roger Ebert's review is almost strictly CinemaSins. It's
really?
like, I'm so sorry to do this, but I mean, what the fuck? And they have the same like hours and minutes and seconds that we do. All of it was like dumber than the aliens came to a planet where it's all water, and that's their one.
That's their one. We should not have come here.
This is dumb on so many levels that they're in Area 51 when the first lady shows up. When Will Smith brings the first lady, there's also just a human hospital in Area 51, and also one of the alien biology scientists just knows how to operate on people. Is it just tubes is tubes?
Tubes is tubes.
That was the book that he
That's
grabbed
why
off
she
his shelf.
died.
It just said tubes is tubes.
It's
a pamphlet.
This movie, on some level, the universe of this movie is like aware that it is a movie. Because whatever has to happen next for us to get like this thing wrapped up in about 2 hours always happens, including the like ultimate CinemaSin thing. But again, I think the movie's doing it to be stupid, where Jeff Goldblum's like, "Well, Pop, you're always healthy," the dad says it to him. Actually, he's like, "Healthy, getting a cold." Giving the aliens a cold, not a physical cold, a computer. Dad, you're a genius.
Is this doing? Is it close to airplane to airport to epic movie when they were just making scenes? This does
I kind of think it is
full scenes from other movies, right?
I kind of think it is, yeah, because it like this part of what I'm shocked about is that the Mars Attack came out this same year, because clearly this is doing more like what Mars Attacks is trying to do than I think we realized at the time. It's basically a satire of all the different points that alien movies make, including the like weird on TV at one point they're watching The Day That Earth Stood Still, like, which is an old sci-fi like Hollywood alien movie. And I don't think it's like employing them in quite satirical tones, but it essentially is like hitting all of these notes to remind us, and then like modernizing them, right? Because isn't it in War of the Worlds, like human illness kills the aliens?
It's a literal cold, yeah.
And so it's like, so it's like playing off of that.
Yeah.
But it's also very much just like, I don't know, I think tweaking it and kind of just being like, isn't this what these movies were like back then?
And everyone is sexy as fuck.
Everyone is
But
sexy
see, like,
as fuck.
that's an incredible point, Mike. Like, put on the screen the things that you know we want to see. And when you get to things like Volcano or Dante's Peak, it's all so calculated that no one could possibly want to see it. There's no humanity. Like, the things that survive, not as big as ID4, but that survive the test of time, if you're not going to be great, are like Deep Blue Sea or Anaconda, where the shit that you put in there is so fucking wild, we remember it. And I do think that there is a little bit of who's the guy from The Room?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah.
What is his fucking name?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
You know Mark from Ojai, right? Ojai, California. There's a little bit of Ojai Mark in directors like Roland Emmerich, where they really do think, that they are creating the next Close Encounters.
Yeah.
And the way that it hits is not the way they intended, but we need psychopaths to make our movie.
And to run our businesses.
And I think there is, even it didn't work for you, Ryan. It really worked for Little Sci-Fi Me. I think there's a difference between Roland Emmerich's career of Stargate and this, and then he just starts trying to recreate this because it was so successful.
Yeah.
So instead of doing the hodgepodge of all of his influences, he's just like, "What if I'm Roland again?" But it's like when an actor doesn't know how to act, and it's like, "What do I do with my hands?" Like, and so it's the copy of a copy of a copy. And it sucks.
You would have suggested for him to keep rolling. What?
Emmerich.
I think that one of the other ways that ID4 succeeds despite itself, and this is why all those other movies failed, particularly his movies, is it's so clearly set piece first. Let's think about the 6 things we want to happen in our movie, and we don't care how to string them along. This movie, it does do that, but it just is so bonkers and wacky throughout the journey, whereas after this movie, what strings the set pieces together are not thought about. They're not made good. They're not made bad.
Right.
They're just so there and like barely there at that. And I think that's such a ID4 for a movie that's 2 hours and 20 minutes long and doesn't have as many set pieces as you remember. I was like, something happened in every scene. I was kind of every time we jumped to a new, couple or a different part of the country, I was like, okay, cool, these people. And that's not what I expected to think in this movie.
It's a true ensemble that is batshit in a way. There's nothing as weird in all of his movies as the First Lady and Vivica A. Fox talking when she's like, "What are you, a dancer?" She's like, ballet.
Ballet.
Just assuming. And she's like, exotic. And just like that. I can think about that.
And then the First Lady says,
so
I'm sorry. And I don't know if she's apologizing for Vivica A. Fox's life or...
Yes.
I do like there's a scene where Vivica A. Fox is dancing and she doesn't know exactly what's going on yet, but nobody in the club is paying attention. And she looks genuinely kind of hurt in a way that I think really understands exotic
Do you
dancers.
see me?
This is very rude. I'm dancing up here.
Do you guys think Vivica in some language means she's?
She's a fox.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. She sure is.
No, I want to make it clear that at the beginning of the segment, Mike asked what works for Independence Day. And we're answering that question right now. Solely about what works.
Well, I'll tell you, here's what works about it. Here's what works about it. It is such a popcorn movie that halfway through I realized I had popcorn and I don't even have any in my house. Like, I don't know where this shit came from. But it is like, and that's
you
why
still ate it though, right?
Of course,
yeah,
of course. That's why I think there's like a sort of like subtle sadness to getting nitpicky about any of these things because it's like,
who are you trying to impress?
Aren't you having fun?
Right.
Like there was no point in this movie where I was not having a great time.
In my head, way in the back, there was, and you guys are definitely fans of harder sci-fi than I am. But like even
so hard.
One rung out from you guys. I think that it would be a real struggle to get through the logic leaps of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody only the douchiest of shitheads want to go into a movie like that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to. And this movie does so many things that at a certain point, if you're a certain type of movie fan, you're just going to throw your hands up in the air and wonder why popcorn shot out of them. Like, where's this popcorn coming from?
You look like LeBron James before a game. Popcorn just falling from the air around you.
He's a basketball player, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Docked points for both of you. We are going to take the quiz or breaks. And when we come back, you know what? What we never do is be a little self-indulgent. It is the final film that we are covering in the 1996 era, which means, of course, it's time to turn the magnifying glass on ourselves. Who would be us in 1996 if podcasts existed at the time? Who would be us? Who could do it? Who could capture that lightning ship in a bottle? That ship made out of lightning that's shoved in a bottle. You throw it in the ocean to see if Sting picks it up. Say yes.
I cannot believe, despite this being the end of the season, what a good job of hosting he's still doing.
What the audience doesn't know is we go to a cabin for 1 week and knock out
all these bitches out,
including watching the movies.
And we don't sleep.
I feel bad for the guests who have to be there for a week just to record a couple hours.
Yeah, they ask to leave, and it's like, sorry.
No, they're chained by their ankles. So we will be starting with Ryan. Who is the Ryan of 96, Greg?
Okay, so we need someone kind of tall. We need someone who, at first, you're like, this guy's fucking annoying. But then after a while, you're like, no, he's kind of funny. But then after a little bit more time, you're like, this guy's kind of fucking annoying and maybe a psycho. And this was also the year Scream came out. I think Ryan is Matthew Lillard.
That's so good. It's as Stu, I assume?
Specifically as Stu, yes.
Ryan is always saying, Mom and Dad are going to be so mad.
You stab me, you jerk.
But wait, there's more.
And there is a little bit more, but we'll have to wait on that.
I'll be right back.
So much of your lead up, Greg, is we need somebody who's tall.
Yeah, I know. This is my favorite segment of the year because I get to see if you guys could sum me up into one word. Tall.
Tall is the word.
It's we need somebody who, when you first meet him, I went the opposite. Is like, oh, this guy's kind of funny and charming. And then very quickly you go, oh, this guy's fucking annoying. And then you hang out longer and you're like, nah, he's a blend. He might be tapped in and get it. And then by the end of the movie, when he's waving at he's flirting with somebody who he thinks is flirting with him, and no, it's a baby, and this guy's out of fucking touch. It is Trent from Swingers.
I love both your picks, despite all of the fucking horrible insults before the pick.
Yeah. Matthew Lillard and Vince Vaughn, not a bad draw.
Yeah, that's.
Can you do better, Ryan?
Yeah.
Who's your you?
When I think about me, I think one, tall.
Of course, obviously.
Two, I think about you guys and how talented you are.
Oh dear,
so much talent, but how much mine dwarfs you.
Yeah,
that really there is no choice for me but to go solo next season and have every podcast be hours and hours late or not come out at all. If this was 1996, I would be Ms. Lauryn Hill. And you two are my other Fugees.
The other Fugees, the famous other Fugees.
One time. Oh, that's good. And you hate doing taxes.
I do.
Yeah. What a bummer.
That one is going to go to Greg.
This year in particular, it feels almost like a sucker's bet to do your taxes. Like, no rich people pay taxes anyway. And then also they fired like most of the IRS. So it's like, wait, is this just the honor system now?
I thought you meant 1996. You mean this the current year, right?
Because if let's say you don't do it and then you get audited, you just send back a letter that says, okay, who's going to do that?
And they're like,
no.
Could you do it?
You in what army? And they're like, based on how we've been doing things, the El Salvadorian army. And they're like, oh, fuck.
The American army is too busy on the border.
All right.
We should be robbing banks.
Who says we aren't? Ryan, who's Greg?
When I think of Greg, I think that just a super cool guy that everybody loves.
Hell yeah.
But I think it's probably peaked, and I'm nervous about the future. I think that he might do so many lame things that he might be hated, but for right now, he's on top. This is the year Load came out. Greg is Lars Ulrich. He's the drummer. He keeps the beat of this show going.
Yeah.
He only has one arm. Is that Metallica?
No, that's Def Leppard,
Okay.
right?
No, because there's that.
He only has 3 arms.
That really good band has that song. Drummer from Metallica's only got one arm.
Yes, of course. Far be it a show go by without Mike referencing the Bloodhound Gang.
But then in terms of peaking, within 2 years, he was like enemy number 1 because of his Napster opposition or whatever. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's going to be, but I did just read that Napster got bought for $300 million.
I know.
So you might be that again.
Oh, man. I'm definitely going to try to sell people on mini discs then if we're going that far back and making money. It's my turn to talk about Greg.
Yay.
Also, quite like Ryan, this guy's great at this time. He's the heartbeat of what we do. He's the drummer. His hair's kind of curly.
2 drummers.
He says dumb phrases often.
Does he kiss Liv Tyler?
And he kisses Liv Tyler. It's Spartacus himself, Shades.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I accept.
Guys, jazz is your sci-fi. And yeah, that's the 1-to-1 there.
Uh-huh.
You're just going to go off about it while everybody's like, cool. But we podcasted for a long time before Greg got here, and I don't think we locked in and made solid pop hits.
That's true.
And
Since Greg got here, I forgot to make my announcement. I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit, Mr. Mike.
I'm talking to my microphone.
And Greg, who do you think you are, Mr. Big Shot?
Who do I think I am? I'm going to pick the hottest person from the movie we just watched. He's smart, sure, but also he seems like completely unaware of the world around him. He's a romantic, probably to his detriment, but maybe in the end that will actually save him. He is also a curly boy. It's Jeff Goldblum from Independence Day. I think that's who I am.
Wow. You think you're this sexy guy. Wow.
Wow. Are you doing your impression of a didgeridoo?
Yeah. It felt fitting.
It was more like I was watching him in this movie and I was like, man, if I could be him for 24 hours, I'm sure I could seal some deals out there. And then I thought, you know what? Here's a perfect opportunity to imagine that.
Mike, I know we don't do honorable mentions, but if I didn't go with Lars Ulrich, I don't know if you guys remember that from a while ago, I would have gone with a perfect Robin Williams impersonator. Because I don't know if you listened to the Birdcage episode last week, but Greg, can you give us one more? Thank you. Yeah, that's who it should be.
I thought he was back in the room. And now we turn our eyes to me.
Wait, who won?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I didn't do that part. You're right. All right. So we have Lars Ulrich, we have Spartacus, and we have Jeff Goldblum. We're going to give this one to Lars, and I hope you don't go the route he went.
That's very offensive.
You could have kissed Liv Tyler.
Well, I feel like, I can't give me points. You know what? Fuck Lars. You're right. You're kissing Liv Tyler.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I still keep that point, though, right, Mike?
I mean, I wrote it in pen, Ryan.
Thank you.
What am I going to do?
I like how you keep track of points like prisoner in his cell. Just on your wall forever.
And I assume that I'll be giving Liv Tyler the millions of kisses that the dumb fuck
that she regrets?
Yeah. That Jimmy.
I love Greg so much. He's like, I'm not a creepy guy. I don't want to do weird things. I just want to give her millions of kisses.
Just millions.
But again, that she canonically regrets and wishes she never did. So yes.
No, I'm saying I'm going to give her the good kisses that she won't regret.
Sure. Do me now.
Should I start, Mike?
Please do.
You know, we already have, in my universe, we already have Ryan as one half of the killer duo. And where would he be without his Skeet Ulrich? His partner in crime, maybe like lover, or there's an energy there. Maybe they put it into what they do. And
Wait,
so...
I'm sorry, Skeet what?
Ulrich.
Son of
Lars Ulrich's kid.
my
Wow.
God.
Is that true?
No way. No. No.
we should say it is.
I mean, at this point, one guy is like 35 and the other guy is like 23. So.
Yeah. It's probably
rock and roll, baby.
Rock.
LA seems wild.
But yeah, like kind of a darker energy, but very sexual, but kind of creepy. Too into horror, really.
Won't stop until he's shot in the head.
He's in that like PG-13 movie, but he's always trying to be in that R-rated movie.
That is Mike to a T.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I know your mom got killed and stuff, but
wanna
can I
vote?
hit? Can I hit? Any chance I could
I've
hit,
heard that.
maybe?
Sucking a D cures grief.
Can I skeet, please?
I'm already by the window, and I can see the wall from here.
Oh, I love hate it. Ryan?
When I think of Mike, I think of somebody who is thought of as terribly unfunny in his time.
Mm-hmm, sure.
But as time goes on, one or two people may say, was he funny? I don't think so.
Maybe, if we're only talking about looks.
He's a funny looking guy. Smells? Yeah, he smells funny as well. And also, I just wanted to do Mike right and cast him as somebody who only he remembers. So can I get a little standing ovation for ARLI $?
Arliss.
That's right, Mike is Arliss.
You got the Arliss, Mike? Huh?
Oh,
Arliss.
This means so much to me. Oh, I love you, Robert Wool. I know you listen.
Robert Wool
Wool
said as long as Mike references us 30 years from now, then it will all be worth it. And Mike makes a lot of Arliss references.
This is when there was like 4 shows on HBO. One of them was Real Sex, the theme song to which I can hear all the time. But
Not
there was
necessarily the news.
It was like Dream On and then Arliss, and it was like actually Arliss is pretty good. And then they started making good TV shows, and we were like, okay, no.
Oh well, but we couldn't get those shows until we were taught TV could be good. Some
By
people are like,
Arliss.
his best role is Albert Knox, and I say no, it is not. It's clearly
Wrong.
Arliss.
We should do a Robert Wool Rushmore.
I'm ready
and
for
see if we can
Wool
pick a
songs.
third or fourth head.
No, we can't. Oh. Full disclose, my original one was Stew for me.
Uh-oh.
So I'm scrapping that, and
By
some
stew, do you
people,
mean what was served in that trailer? And
yeah,
that
I'm
you
the
do?
stew man.
The delicious that thing you do stew. Here, boys, enjoy one bowl of stew.
Here's my new one, my stew replacement. It's soup. Most people didn't say it when it came out. Those who did say they love it don't remember it and will never return. My wife inexplicably loves it. I'm
Your
a Martian
dick.
from Mars Attack.
Ack,
The ack
baby.
one?
Ack. Yeah,
Is that Martians or Kathy?
Ack dating
Mondays,
hard on
Ack.
Mars. All the comic strips
Chocolate
are the same. Shit.
Those are
I
the same
can't-
jokes we made in our Mars Attacks episode, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We hear ack, we go one way.
That was years
Man,
ago.
although I have listened to the Jamie Loftus podcast about that, and Kathy had a very rich tapestry of
Yeah.
a life.
So shut the fuck up out there, making fun of
Man.
Kathy.
Irv, you're on my shit list, and you know why.
Your fucking Irv. Your movie of the year, 1996 cast is to remind you of 2 of them. It's Ryan as Matthew Lillard's Stu. Greg as
Shades.
Guy
Spartacus.
Patterson. I was trying to remember his actor's name. Guy Patterson, aka Skitch. And Mike's aka Skeech. Stu, Skeech, and Skeech.
You're
So
supposed to have one normal named guy.
Stu, I think.
Not a normal name, Mike. That is
And-
a food.
That's your podcast. Head over to our Patreon to hear us doing our impressions for an hour and a half of those guys doing show. We'll see you next segment. Taste buds. Does this movie, which I think is supposed to be making you proud to be an American, make you even more embarrassed to be an American?
it is like, yeah, it's totally aggrandizing America. But then when you like look at the bad guys, for instance, and like what their sins are, which is they go places where they should not be and they use all the natural resources and destroy the joint.
Wait, that's our thing.
Yeah, and you're like, hang on. And then there's a part where the president's like, this is complicated, not like the Gulf War, where we knew we were doing the right thing. And it's like,
this is an alternate history where not only was the Gulf War clearly for good reasons, there was a lot of action because he was a fighter pilot in the Gulf War and really wears that proudly.
Did you guys think about, by the way, that there's one scene that I will come to about Vivica A. Fox, that this is a fucking Republican president?
Oh yeah, because he's a war fighter,
right?
Yeah, that word that's so popular now.
John Kerry, maybe, but that fucking flip flopper.
But he's like,
will John Kerry stop flip flopping? By the way,
seriously, will it ever end? Were you in Vietnam or not, John?
But yeah, like the way that people talk about him is not a way that you would talk about a Democratic president, because they're always like, is he hiding? What a bitch.
Yeah.
And then Vivica A. Fox says, I voted for the other guy. I'm sorry. I don't think that this stripper mom voted Republican.
Well, somebody that fought in the Persian Gulf War, I don't think that's going to be like a Democrat, right?
And because they set up Jeff Goldblum's David as David as so lefty, so love the economy, and he physically fought him. Yeah, he's not fighting another Dem. That would happen much later. When the left would eat itself instead of doing anything fucking productive.
Once they're in disarray?
But
they might be in disarray.
He's like extremely wise in that he's very slow to actually use force. So he's like the gentle warrior.
And so is his general. It's so crazy that the CIA guy, the Secretary of Defense, you find out later, but I thought he was just like the head of the CIA, he's the one who's like, blow them all up. That's not how the CIA rolls. They want to get there 10 years early and slowly deteriorate that country from the inside. They don't want to nuke right away. Robert Loggia and Bill Pullman are like, I don't know. We're the last good Republicans.
But the real darkness, I think, that kind of lurks in this movie is almost like this end of history idea that like liberalism had brought us to the point where there were no more conflicts on Earth, and yet there was also not peace. And that the thing that it would really take to get peace amongst humans is just war against something else.
Right.
And that's so deeply, darkly nihilistic that it's actually pretty depressing.
But it's deeply nihilistic and also wrong, because even that wouldn't make us stop fighting. We now know we would still be fighting each other because half the people would be like, there's not even aliens.
Now. But like then, in the Clinton era, because I think that's why I thought it was a Democrat, because
he's a young president.
Yeah, kind of handsome for.
You could tell he played the sax.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about Clinton, like we truly did then, but like we pretended to not know until just recently. And I just assumed that like Hollywood, right? It's so liberal that like if you're gonna have one of your leads be the president, it's gonna be a Democratic president. But I think it comes from a time where we needed that bad guy, like Bush had so many points because people were attacking the country and he was going out and attacking other people. Clinton, we were just bored. We were just bored and happy and fat.
Isn't he kind of like in a way, kind of like a combination of George W. Bush and Clinton, though? Because George W. Bush, when he was in the National Guard or whatever, but wasn't he also a fighter pilot? And so it's almost like, what if we took all the good parts of these two men and combined them into one super heroic, like everyday guy? That's the other thing. He's like so normal. Yeah. Like you keep thinking there's going to be a scandal, but it's like the scandal is I love my fucking wife too much.
Yeah. No, or like, I'm a simp.
He loves his daughter, but he never says, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd date her. Like, that's cool.
Which is why I don't
recognize the daughter, by the way.
Only a real president. It's Egg.
It's Egg.
Who?
Oh, Anne from Arrested Development? Oh my gosh.
Another part of the jingoism, they do kind of stress that America went to the moon for all of mankind. Yeah. That's not only absurd to say, but very ahistoric, right?
Also, see that, but that's like, I do think that's an entry point into understanding the movie, because why did we go to the moon? We went to the moon so that we would have the rocket technology to defeat the Russians if it came to it. And so it's actually a mission of war to go to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like, it threw off fringe benefits like Velcro for the people.
Hell yeah, Velcro shoes.
Velcro for the people.
Let them eat Velcro.
But it was definitely a military effort. And it's the same sort of like hopefulness that this movie has, but that is completely like enwrapped in, we will find someone to put our violence on. And then we will all be joined together because we'll agree that the violence goes towards the same entity.
I didn't know until watching this movie that Nixon's signature was on that plaque, which is like one of the most like, they're handing around the Declaration of Independence, and then like the janitor is there and he's like, all right, I guess I'll sign it too. Like, how long was Nixon in office when they went to the moon?
I mean, that's the ironic thing, right? Like, it was Kennedy's whole project, and Nixon fucking hated Kennedy so much that there's stories of him standing in front of his presidential portrait and like berating him like late at night. Like,
what a cool guy.
And so then he had to sign off on his signature deal. But yeah, he had nothing to do with it himself.
Do you think this movie is also starting the deep state is actually what's wrong with this country? Because it's a great Republican president, it's a great general, but again, it's that sniveling worm, Secretary of Defense, and the Area 51 bureaucrats who are hiding the truth from us.
They don't even tell the president about what's really going on. That's why I think this is a host of movies that gave the American public the idea that if a normal person were put into the upper echelons of American power, that they would just be able to make very simple decisions, and that those very simple decisions that are rooted in common sense.
Like the documentary Dave.
Honestly, and I think that this has been the kind of, what it presented was not that the world is much more complicated and that answers have to be much more complicated, but it told people, no, the world is simple, just these people refuse to do the obvious things that they should. And that's why people think that you can elect somebody who's going to go in and literally destroy the country, and that's going to be like a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, we can't go back to this thing where the deep state controls everything. And the deep state's like a bunch of people who know how things work.
Right. That's the thing is that like
we don't want that. We don't want this experts.
That there's lifetime bureaucrats in the government that actually make things happen, you know, because it just goes as normal. It did give me hope that like there is not a lot that even like Trump loyalists are not telling him for, you know, the safety of the country and the world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that he knows all the secrets.
No, the real life Brett Spiner is still just toiling away in New Mexico, and Trump has no idea.
Even the real life snivelly James Rebhorn,
yes,
the guy who gets fired, like, he, even if he's a Trump loyalist, he's not telling the president the shit that like could really damage everything.
He's texting it to his bros.
And what's the text feed called?
Houthi PC small group.
Boom. History quiz.
Give me my pie. I'm doing future Trivial Pursuit right now.
It has lasers.
Also, how often when the movie cuts to other countries are we looking at like people doing functional things that are helpful? It happens a little bit near the end of the movie, but every time we cut to another country, no matter how like many big cities there are in the country, if it's like in the Middle East or anywhere else, it's like they're a weird village, and
not only in we're in northern Iraq, and we see, you know, folks who are native to Iraq, but then most of the speaking characters who are in northern Iraq are like the British Air Force, who are also like, oh, thank God, the Americans finally have a plan.
Yes,
like that's what this movie thinks.
That guy who plays the head British Royal Air Force guy, he is a Brit soldier in every movie he's in, except for is it Best in Show, where he is the judge with Fred Willard.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Has to deal with Fred Willard the entire time.
That's amazing.
But yeah, like it's so that one of the things that I love about this movie is it tries to be so inclusive by showing these other countries, but it's the most American way of looking at these other countries. So it's not just like the Iraqi village, but also it cuts to French soldiers and they're in berets.
They're smoking.
Smoking, just chugging baguettes and spitting on the ground.
The Japanese, it's very high tech. There's glowing buttons everywhere, and their uniforms are sharp, and they're just pressing the buttons, but they don't really get to talk.
They cut to Egypt, and literally you just see the pyramids.
Yeah.
What stuff's in Egypt? The pyramids.
Instead of showing people, he should have just done hard cuts to different landmarks around the world because that's what he's actually into.
Oh yeah, dude loves a landmark,
and just has just as much character as the characters he was giving around the world.
The landmarks themselves play characters in this.
It went away, but there's a kind of transition in like the first half of the movie where he couldn't just be like, well, now we're with this group of characters. So it had to be like MTV style, jump cut, like, here's different views of the Statue of Liberty before we go to another character.
And the other thing I love, too, is it doesn't matter where you are, mostly in New York, but it doesn't matter. We get to see everyone's first glimpse of what happened. So the thing whatever happens, and then we see 30 times people going like,
so long.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. And then Will Smith coming out to read the paper is the coup de grace of just like, he refuses to look up from that morning paper until he notices the neighbors being like, that's weird.
Right.
Anyway, back to the sports page. And then slowly like,
In the New York one, where we see the heart of the movie at this point, this guy, he dies, but we see so many no-name characters react and die. It's why it's 2.5 hours long. It's a half an hour of this scene of a montage of New Yorkers slowly dying.
Yeah, Harvey Fierstein right before the flame takes him over, and he's like, oh, my skin therapist is going to hate this.
All right. I think we fucking nailed this part. We're going to take the quick breaks, and when you come back, do a little game. Look, listeners, we've all said we like this movie, right? It was an enjoyable experience, but there was a lot of death, and we also liked that. So what we're doing now is something we've never done, which is the death draft.
Not just a lot of death, but a lot of awful characters. Just people that I was like cheering from my couch.
So these are not like the most emotionally impactful deaths, unless that emotion is mirth. We are all trying to pick who are we the happiest they died. And the order is myself, Greg, Ryan, Serpentine, of course. It's a draft, goddammit. Why would anybody ever question that?
They'd be a real chump, Mike.
They'd be a real chump. Like a chump. My first pick is Raven, who is Captain Stephen Hiller's wingman, who does, I think, an extended Martin Luther King impression.
Jesse Jackson.
Jackson?
What a number one overall pick this
is.
Whew.
He forgets how to fly.
He caused his own death.
Yeah.
And we're all so happy at that point.
But like the reason why this is the number one overall draft pick, and I'm so glad that he's going home to the Denver Micorados, is that like every line out of his mouth is, are you trying to be the Stu, the Matthew Lillard of this movie?
Yeah.
Every gay panic joke comes from his mouth. He's just I'm so irreverent. You never know what I'm going to say.
Stephen Hiller is worried that his longtime girlfriend and son basically might be dead. And the guy's just like, hey, look at me do this very stereotypical black voice. Isn't that funny, Captain Stephen Hiller?
Harry Connick Jr. is like always kind of a stretch to cast, and they clearly like they were gonna have him go like against type because he's naturally very charming. And so what if he were why? What are we doing? And the way he dies, he tries to bank his plane too hard.
Yeah.
And then he rips off his mask and says, I can't breathe. And then
the thing
he
that's
just
giving
crashes. Man, you fucking suck, dude. In a movie that like really celebrates macho men, this guy fucking sucks.
They should have kept that death for the final battle. And had it be a farmer who's never flown before. All of that would make sense.
I don't like this guy in real life. His dad is an awful person who like helped to ruin the country.
Oh wow!
You guys know about Harry Connick Sr.?
No.
Yeah, Wikipedia that shit.
I will
right now while you guys are talking.
I'm gonna say I read it in a book.
Wikipedia.
I'll just look where the footnotes are, and I'll be like, yes, I read this book. Harry Connick Sr., World Destroyer.
Story untold. Greg, who's your pick?
Okay, but I think something I missed was that there's supposed to be some sort of like animus towards the person dying. So let's see. I'm going to say the next one I'm going to go with is Randy Quaid. There's no reason. It's one of the things where the movie, you can tell that this movie is set in a movie, that like what we're seeing is something that is like kind of self-aware on some level as a movie, because there's no reason for him to have to kamikaze himself into this thing. It's like the missile just won't fire.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, gonna have to crash into this bad boy. And he does. And you're just like, you know what? I was waiting for this guy not to talk anymore the entire movie. And so I'm picking him.
Before he dies, I mean, you would think that by the third act, we're all on his side.
Yeah.
Before he dies, he says, in the vernacular of my generation, up yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, you don't know the word vernacular, you RV driving bitch.
You
Second
definitely
of all,
don't.
what generation was that like a thing for?
He's essentially his
The
Christmas
hippies?
Vacation
Yeah.
character
Oh, for sure.
in this movie, including the same vehicle. And he's terrible.
The original ending that they made them change, and who knows why, was he was too drunk, and they said, no, we need everybody, including the President of the United States. You are not joining us. And he stole a missile, tied it to his crop duster, and flew up there because he was in a plane that could not fire missiles.
That honestly feels more in the style of this movie than what happened.
That sounds so awesome.
That makes a lot more sense. And his character is another character that's like, again, this weird thing that movies did for a long time where every movie that had aliens in it, Men in Black did this too. It's like, hey, the people that read National Enquirer, that's the real news. Conspiracy theorists, they're the ones who really know. And it was so cute for a number of years, but now half the country is completely whacked out on conspiracy theories, and it's less cute to like look back on.
Including one, Randall Quaid.
Yeah.
One Randar Quaid.
He believed his own character.
That was a history. I remember. That was a documentary.
Ryan.
I'm not exactly sure why this character gets so much hate, but I'm with it. She for a long time was like the face of the movie. It's Vivica A. Fox's stripper friend.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Who carries her sign up to the building. And she's just so fucking like, you want to die. You're so dumb that you believe that like these aliens are here. And all of the trailers had her face. Like, no light on it. And then green. Yeah. Holding the sign.
The Baja Blast cannon.
Then she gets evaporated. And I was so happy to see her go.
I thought this draft, I misunderstood. I thought it was deaths we would want. I have to say, across this movie, getting Baja blasted, that's the way to go.
It's
painless. You're
it's
just
So
vaporized.
yeah, there's no way she felt it.
It looks so beautiful. It's like a extra large cup of Baja Blast, and it's all yours.
Mike, Greg is really trying to make this Baja Blast thing.
I'm trying to make it stick. I only have a couple minutes.
Unfortunately, I win that round. Because come on, Raven. Fuck Raven.
Yeah.
Fuck Raven. That's true.
Ryan, back to you.
Oh man, I have to go with I think that I'm just MCU'd out and I can't take the whole he's standing behind me right now, isn't he? Harvey Fierstein, just every line out of his mouth is so fucking
I gotta call my lawyer. He says, I gotta call my mother.
Lawyer.
I gotta call my roommate. I gotta call my lawyer. Well, maybe not my lawyer.
That was the worst line in the movie.
We don't like lawyers. Lawyers are bad people, so maybe I won't warn him. Everything is so, like, and this is, I don't know how much he improvised. I don't know how much Will Smith improvised, but like Will Smith, his persona really shines in this movie.
Yeah.
When he's dragging that alien in the parachute. Harvey Fierstein is just, he's not given anything to work with other than, hey, if you say anything and it's kind of in a gay voice, then we'll be heralded as like so inclusive. Every line was terrible. I was glad when he died.
He's like one of the only things in the movie that really never ever works. And he's surrounded by a bunch of really good stuff. And then every time he's on screen, but I guarantee you there's people out there who are like, that's the best part of the movie. Right. That's hilarious. That lawyer crack. Woo.
It's so front loaded with him that I was like, do none of these jokes work? Is this movie going to keep trying to be funny? And then I'm like, it learned how to get better. I'm like, no, we're just not cutting to him anymore.
Yeah.
It's just, what if Jay Leno smoked 400 cigarettes a day? That's what this character was.
Also, he has not escaped like that time. He was in so many movies in that time. So like modern audiences would just be like, what the fuck? Because this was a huge ensemble cast, like all those other disaster movies. And he's part of the ensemble. Plus, we just don't appreciate that anymore.
Harvey Fierstein is so close to a name that we don't talk about anymore that might have ruined his career.
That's true.
Harvey Birdman?
Yeah.
Attorney at law.
Greg.
A character that I did not like back in the 90s, but I really liked was Brent Spiner is a goofy man, and they made him be Data for like 10 years. And the thing is, that's such a reserved character because he's a robot or whatever. And Brent Spiner's actually a huge weirdo. So every other part he's ever had, he's been like this. He's the hippie doctor guy that works at Area 51. I thought every line was a home run. And then the alien chokes him to death with a tentacle and speaks through him.
Die.
Yeah. And
his name is Dr. Brackish Oaken. That
Hell
is a
yeah.
sci-fi fucking name.
This movie made me think that he could have had Brad Dourif's career.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Data.
yeah,
Data?
Data.
Is there more than one robot? Is it Data?
There's an evil Data. I mean,
lore. Yeah. And there is a character who's
Every time
like,
we talk about Star Trek shit, you guys just shout out lore.
there is
That's
a
lore.
there is a character that calls him Data, and he's like, actually, my name is Data. And she's like, well, I say it Data. And he's like, but my name is Data.
damn it. That was my next one.
Should I give it Ryan? Is it okay if I give that one to Mike?
No, it is
No,
not.
No,
sorry.
don't do it.
I would have done that for you, Mike.
All right,
but
appreciate-
I guess Ryan's saying no.
Do you know all the aliens are bastards, but do you know who just like for some reason is a real cock? Is the
Is it
one
guy in his office?
It's the guy in his office who they end up waving at, shooting a missile at. Fuck that guy.
Just the secretary doing
He's like,
paperwork.
who is that over there?
No,
They
you
almost
can
look
tell
like-
none of his coworkers like him.
Yeah.
You can tell that guy's breath stinks.
There's a shot where they're flying through and we see all these soldiers getting armed, right?
Yeah.
Like this thing is fucking chock-a-block of alien bad guys. There's just one guy in his office just typing away.
Not
Just
in
like
a suit.
And you know, like, if you've
It's
ever...
almost the weekend.
There's a fucking poster of an alien hanging on a rope with one fingernail.
One
in there.
tentacle. Hang in there,
Hang
baby.
in there, big guy. He's just typing away on his typewriter. Just, yeah. Whose birthday is it this week? I do have to buy birthday cake for the office party. I hate that guy, Mike, so much.
Gotta pass the
Yeah.
card around. Ooh, what am I seeing over there? It almost looks like two humans. That'd be so weird for them to be up here. They're waving at me. Oh, that's fun.
Oh, geez. We're almost out of Baja Blast. I gotta put an order in.
Gotta fill up the tankard.
But that vendor is so cute.
More
I don't mind
Bee
when he
Blast.
comes over. His alien name is Kathy.
Now it's time to get into some of these almonds.
You
I
guys
have been
stop
saving
racking
them
up
all
points. This is crazy.
Should I be bad?
So
You know
this round,
I'm gonna eat the whole bag. I might die today. I don't know.
you guys are talking me into me giving me another point. So this round is super smug, shitty worker alien.
Yeah.
Dr. Bracken Orko. I think Brackish or fucking Dr. Brackish.
Otto Bractavian.
No, he's
And
the kind
then-
of doctor. Just say his name different every time.
And then Lisa. No, Alicia. Played by Lisa, right? That was the stripper? Or was Harvey?
No,
Which
that was
one
the first
your-
round. It was Harvey.
Okay. We are giving this one to, oh my God, I'm so glad we like to watch him die.
Oh, it's a fireball.
See, if Roland Emmerich knew what to do, he would cast Harvey Weinstein as the alien in Harvey Fierstein as the alien in The Office.
For my final round pick, and I know, look, I'm saying it right now, I know we didn't see it, but I imagine headcanon lore, the internet says it, is that the Secretary of Defense, Albert Nimzinski, died of a terribly painful colon cancer. And I loved watching it. Because fuck that guy.
Yeah, just an awful, shitty person.
Yeah.
Greg?
Evil and terrible. Each of the ships that is above Earth is 15 miles across. And then the mothership is even bigger than that.
Did they say Texas?
Yeah, it's like a whole state.
Yeah.
Which
I'm going to say, if Texas could float away right now and go off to space, I'd love that.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Too far?
Well, Beyonce's from Texas.
Go too far.
You go too far, sir. So I'm going to give it up to all those aliens. Some of them probably innocent. Some of them probably simple contractors working on the big space station, unaware of the conflict. All of
What are
them
we doing
vaporized
today?
in moments. by our heroes. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the whole spaceship full of alien friends, because some of them are okay people like you or me.
Silence is complicity, and they supported that war. So no.
I mean, I guess
don't
they
care
should
what
have
they
been
wrote
out
on
in the
Alien
streets.
Facebook.
I just, you get caught up in it. Next thing you know, they didn't vote for the guy, right? Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos.
Ryan, who's your final?
Mike, I'm going to take a page out of your book and go with, I know that he did die, even if we didn't see it on screen. And it's the guy with the most 96 haircut. It's like shaved on the bottom half and a big poof of curly on the top. And Randy Quaid's daughter, or maybe...
Andrew Keegan?
No,
Is
not
that
that
the
guy.
actor's name?
This is towards the end where, like, I do think that this whole base was destroyed. She's like, I don't want to die a virgin. And he's like, well, just so you know, we'll both die virgins together. You dumb piece of
fucking
shit.
idiot.
I'm so fucking glad you're dead.
Dude, just die.
Also, that daughter, recognize her?
No.
No.
Mrs. Doubtfire. That was one of Robin Williams' daughters.
Hello. Well, the board is slipping me a piece of paper that says we only saw one of these things happen on screen, so that has to get the point. And it's the entire spaceship, even though Greg was saying there's very fine people on both sides.
Yeah, a lot of good Nazis died in that war, Greg, I guess.
I was alluding to the hit film Clerks and their conversation of the Death Star. But it is interesting to think about the fact that maybe the heroes from this movie are terrorists. Mike, take us to break.
And with that, we're on break. Taste buds, President Whitmore, David Levinson, Captain Steve Hiller, and even Russell Case seem to have more to prove to themselves and us than just, quote, death to aliens, unquote. Was Independence Day a comprehensive treatise on masculinity in the 90s this entire time?
I mean, obviously, Roland Emmerich's a man, so he makes movies about men.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of what we were saying about like the end of history, that like this movie is a fantasy about manliness because it's like we're called back to combat.
It's what we want to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Our lives aren't worth anything unless aliens attack the entire planet.
Like, think about Jeff Goldblum's like scientist character. He's like not really living at the, like he's concerned about like the Earth in 100 years, and he's not concerned in his tomorrow. He's like living in his past and the Earth's future, but he is like shaken out of that, and he has air sickness, which is clearly a sign of cuck weakness. But he's able to overcome that in the end and be a hero, and he gets to hang out with Will Smith.
Is cuck weakness a better name than David Levinson?
Write it down for D&D.
Cuck weakness.
There's so many scenes that like really focus on this. Like, excuse me, for David Levinson, the drunk scene, where it's so clear that he has his dream job or what he wants, but the wife left him because she has way more ambition, or he doesn't have enough ambition, and that is so emasculating to him. Like, he basically froze in that state for 4 years while she went off and just like her life went up and up and up, and he could not, because like she left because of that. And then something that I did not notice as a kid was how many references there were to, oh, this bitch president, why is he such a bitch? Like, we elected him because he was a soldier, and now he's going to leave the White House. He's a bitch. Oh, he's going to stay in the White House. He's a bitch. Like, and so that's all on his mind.
He doesn't even want to nuke
making decisions in the when he starts making decisions in the beginning of the movie. He's trying to play it cool. Like the people around him are like, did you see what it says in the papers about you? And he's like, no, I don't care. But he does, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. I don't read those. I don't care what those people have to say.
He's trying to rise above. I will say, even though it feels like Dumb and Manish and John Wayne inspired him, the world is about to end, and you need fighter pilots. Send the president. It's fine. So much society is destroyed. It's fine. Just send him up there.
But
he was right.
But what happens after you kill all the aliens? The president, you will notice, the president doesn't do anything. Like, he is not useful in the final fight. He's there, but he doesn't actually...
He's a mascot. He's a cheerleader.
He doesn't really do anything. And I'm sure everybody gets really fired up. But even that is like... don't we miss the world where the leader had to be on the front lines?
Mm-hmm.
Don't we miss the world where like our actual representation had to get their hands bloody if they wanted to go and do dirty work?
Washington? Is that the last president in front of
and he should have taken a plane with his piano and his elephants up to the spaceship with him to go and fight. I think if you're
Are you
be
saying
on the front
Napoleon
lines,
is the last American president who fought on the front lines?
Yes, sir. 7 years ago, Mike. Think about it.
It's called a history book, Mike. Open it up, okay? Take a gander.
Everybody's like motivation isn't of these dudes, not the women. The dudes, they need extra motivation of needing to feel like a man. And for, is it Randall Cass?
Russell.
Russell Cass, Randy Quaid. His whole thing is like, you're a bad dad. And so for him, his manliness is not really the flying. It's the, I'm going to prove that I care about my sick son.
Yeah.
And that's when it cuts to his oldest son. And he's like, he really is a good guy.
You know what? This is an okay dude.
Did you guys get the impression that Randy Quaid had one blood son? That the youngest was his actual kid, but the others were stepkids?
No. I did not.
That's deep stepkid lived energy that you're putting out there watching.
Yeah,
trying to look
seriously.
at dynamics.
And then being redheaded on top of that. But the kid says, the oldest kid says in such a way like, you're not even our real dad. You only care about him when it's like handy for you. And I think that the oldest son and the daughter are the wife's kids, who is probably dead. And they had one son together and he's very sick.
But just car sick, right? Or is he actually sick? Did I miss
No,
that?
he's sick, yeah.
He
needs an inhaler.
Just pull over. He'll be okay.
Yeah. One of the easiest sicknesses to handle.
That's what I thought. My entire life.
Russell Case is only able to like really reclaim his manhood by dying. And that's the other thing. I think it's not just that combat gives us the chance to prove ourselves as men, and that's what this is a fantasy about. It's that dying gives us a chance, like dying for a good cause. This movie, it reminds me of like Nordic myths or something. It reminds me of the idea of like Valhalla, that like if we don't die with our swords in our hands, then like have we lived any sort of life worth living? And so his dying at the end is like, that's the best thing that could have possibly happened to him.
He's the best dad of all time.
I don't think I get what you're saying, Greg. I don't think it's fully for that. Is depending on what is on the scale of your morality and how you've lived your life, the closer you need to get to death, the bigger shit you are. So the president, he fires a missile. So he did it. Jeff Goldblum and Stephen Hiller are up there, and they almost died, but they made it through. But like Russell, the world knows, he knows, the script knows. If he didn't die, he's back to drinking.
Just be
in a week.
Right. See that's what I think the problem with the movie is, because what happens when there are no alien attacks? What happens to characters like Russell? There's like, because if his only option is to die in combat or to be a shit person, that's the problem with our messages to men. There has to be something else where you like fix yourself, like you're better, you improve.
Lame. Just die. And that's one part where I think Randy Quaid does a great job of, his eyes change, like he is just like, yeehaw! Like he's just in a rodeo. And then he realizes that his missile isn't going to launch. He takes a look at his kids and he's like, he comes up with the idea and we see it in his eyes.
I love my kids.
I love my kids. And also he loves his kids so much that he's going to die a hero and also stay out of their lives.
Yeah.
That's how much he
to
loves
not mess
his
them
kids.
up anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And that one scene is when I remembered him from what was the Navy movie?
The Last
Stand. The Last Detail. And I was just like, oh yeah, this guy can act. Do you guys remember that? This guy can act? And it was that shift from Slim Pickens to actual human being. You know what that sound means? It's speed round time. Can you imagine trying to hack an alien spacecraft in such a short amount of time with mid-90s level dial-up without having a fucking heart attack? He does it so calmly.
Yes.
I honestly, like, based on the conversations we've had so far about this movie, I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, it must have been stressful, and they barely did it, but they did. Thank God.
Like, I think about this, like, if I'm watching a scene with, like, in Star Wars with land speeders, about how, like, this is just a basic ass mission, but there's trees everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you make one wrong turn, you're exploded. And they're flying in as the last chance for humanity. And it's still that same sort of like, woo, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, you're obsessed with the fat lady.
I think that video games have taught us that if we explode, we can just go back to the start. Like, that's what ruined us as a generation.
How slutty is Jeff Goldblum's little necklace in this movie?
Dude.
Man, he is on fire in this movie.
Do you know what this movie taught me? Like, I thought Jurassic Park laying on that table, open that shirt up.
Yeah.
That's what would be hot, but no. Tuck in the shirts as tight as you can.
Yeah.
So we can just imagine how broad and
then like the
are.
shirt open to and his shoulders looked really good. And then that little fucking necklace.
Yeah.
I don't know. That
draws
necklace,
the eye.
That guy is supposed to be frozen in place. That necklace says, "I'm down to clown." Like, I mean, I think like he's gonna be getting women responding to that necklace, and about 10% of men responding to that necklace everywhere he goes.
Do you know what's even hotter than that? The fucking hottest thing in the movie. He's layered because it's the 90s, right?
Mhm.
So you wear like an undershirt, a shirt, an overshirt, and then like an over.
You tie a flannel around your waist, yeah.
And also, his wife isn't into him. And then all of a sudden, his wife is wearing one of those shirts. That means that we have Jeff Goldblum with one layer off, hot, and the wife is now back in.
Oh, man. I'm so glad I didn't somehow secretly get married to a woman who wants a man that's going to make something of his life. That would be a real curveball. Like, yeah, ooh. Just sort of killing the clock here. Is that not cool?
Oh, you're going to podcast. Cool.
Which is almost as heroic.
I'm going to go play ping pong with a coworker.
A reporter tells the audience that the UFO in the sky caused 10,000 fender benders. Says who? You don't know how many fender benders there were, you dumb bitch.
Who is the person that while this conflict is going on, they're
1,
charting
2, 3,
fender
4, 5,
benders?
6.
They just have, who's the guy in the elections who's drawing charts that we love?
Kornacki?
Kornacki. Steve Kornacki's just over there instead of worrying about the world dying. Just being like, well,
Okay,
here's
let's zoom
all the
in
accidents
here.
that are coming.
This is a slight fender bender here.
If I know how science works, you see one fender bender in front of you, and then you say, all right, that's like 10 feet of the globe. Therefore, extrapolate it out exponentially,
Science.
divided by 2, 10,000 fender benders.
How, at the time, people raved about these special effects. How are these holding up to our old ass eyes?
I have to say the one thing I thought mostly okay, but maybe it's because I knew how much miniature was used in this movie. But I have to say, like, I don't remember it looking as miniature as it looked in this. Like, I don't know. Every time it cut to like one of these miniatures, it's like, well, here's a very small city street getting blown up.
I loved it so much. There's so much green screen that like that's a little awkward, but the miniatures I love
because they really blow up.
There's a scene where that's true. Yeah. Those miniatures don't exist anymore.
So it's like watching a doll's house explode, but it explodes.
There's a scene where there's like 9 F-15s, and then the president's like, "You 3 go that way," and then all 3 of them go directly to the side and then fly away as if they were toys.
They like turned the picture of them to the side.
And then there's another scene where like it's Will Smith. They're coming out of the Grand Canyon or whatever, and a ship, like a literal ship, it looks like a ship hits the ground, and it looks so corny and like, is that really alien technology? But it looks real.
Yeah,
and I know it's not real, and that's so much
chunks
better
of it
than
like
CGI.
fly in the air. Yeah.
I don't know. It works.
We love practical. Brent Spiner says, let's see the big tamale, which is not a phrase. Everybody knows it's hot tamale. And then shows them the ship. But then right after that, shows them the aliens. Would those be the big tamale if that were in fact a phrase people said?
Also, did they call it the freak show room?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like no respect for these aliens, which I guess it turns out to be like okay. But there's also the part where he's about to like dissect one. And he's like, "Here comes the gross part."
Yeah. What kind of scientist are you, man?
Also, if you dump them in water, then they're very docile or dead. If you cut them open, that hand's gonna move. Yeah, you are fucked.
That guy is like clearly blowing all sorts of weed all the time. But where do you do that in Area 51? Is it just like an understanding that he's gonna like go hotbox one of the utility closets?
No, you hotbox Area 51.
The whole
That's why
thing,
that room got so smoky. Speaking of that scene. It was the most scene that was like, oh yeah, sci-fi can be horrific. How scared was Greg during the operating scene?
Was it scarier than the Dr. Octopus scene from Spider-Man 2?
It's almost as scary as some of the stuff from The Thing. The scariest part though, and I'm not much of a jump scare guy, but I was like counseling myself for when Brent Spiner suddenly comes like thrust out of the mist and pressed up against when I was little Greg, that shit took me by surprise when he's like, the movie wants you to know it's coming, so that
now it's fully telegraphed.
Yeah, but now I would say I'm more like, because I'm familiar with the movie, I'm more like, oh, this would scare me, but I know what's going to happen.
Good for you. Does this movie make the case that in times of crisis it might be advantageous if the president is not also the oldest, worst person in the country?
I don't. That you're presenting a reality I do not understand. This is movies, Mike. Do you not know that they're fake?
Not only is this guy like a good guy, but he's not like the most like decrepit old person that you've ever seen. Because not even our sweet dear president, who is like literally falling apart in front of our eyes, it like half of the government now is just these people who fall every single day and like are wheeled in to vote and then like put back in their vats.
It feels like a sick joke. Let them die.
There will be one stair in front of them and they will fall down the stairs. I saw a picture today of Trump behind the podium, and he was on lifts so that the lifts on, or like there was like lifts put down on the ground so that the lifts in his shoes don't knock him over. You have to balance him out. And he was wearing pants that were very clearly a different color than his jacket because he probably filled the pants that matched his jacket with human shit.
Or filled the jacket that matched the pants with human shit.
Our stinkiest president, definitely, including the guys who like lived before showers and stuff.
Our final question. This movie contends that aliens might be an outside force wanting to dominate and control us. The movie Contact contends that aliens might be our dad. Which is scarier?
Oh, man. I would love if an alien dad came out onto an island beach and said, "Do you want to have a catch?" And it was Shoeless Joe Jackson.
What if all the aliens were like look like our dads?
The world does not move. The world doesn't care. Like some 5'6" gray-haired guy with glasses, but there's a million of them. Doesn't matter.
Isn't that what that movie Men was about?
And they're all like, "Look who finally got up."
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Gotta fill out a few applications today?
Here comes
Shut up,
trouble.
Dad. I'm a part-time podcaster. That is a job.
We're gonna take the quickest of breaks, and when we come back, it's award season. Taste buds. I bet you could guess which awards, Oscars, that this movie was nominated for.
Best Picture.
No, this is before the
loudest.
10. It's the most. It was nominated for sound, and it won for visual.
Woo!
But it wasn't nominated?
It stole it.
Like, wait a minute, that's Independence Day's music. Oh my God! It ran onto the stage, slid across on its belly, grabbed the trophy.
It was Harvey Feinstein who did it.
That's my award.
Man, the culture needs to remember this guy because I could use this voice everywhere.
But like, okay, straight talk amongst the boys here. Before you saw him in this movie again, had you literally forgotten him? Like the second I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, this guy. But I swear, if we had not rewatched this movie, I don't think I would ever even remember him.
He's in my heart and in my brain all the time.
Yeah, I remember his Aunt Jack in Mrs. Doubtfire because that's like one of the first queer couples I saw as a kid for sure. It was like Uncle Joe and Aunt Jack, and I was like, I love that for them.
Uncle Joe and Aunt Jack is the kind of joke that will make people like straight boomers laugh so hard.
Especially when the guy talks like this. Let's go 90s slang. Let's do awards that matter. All of that was preamble to that. Greg, what is the 90s slanginiest thing?
I'm going to shout out Melinda Clark, my favorite half of that duo. And this movie is a lot about using the phone. And now there is something called a portable phone. And cell phone was just not something people said at this time. So they're like, I'm going to call her on her portable. I love that. The portable.
Back then, cell phone was how you talk to people in jail.
Mm-hmm. With the glass wall in between you?
Yeah. And you touch, and it's like you're touching their hand.
Glassy
Billy.
Billy. That's from this year.
Yeah, it is from this year. Cable Guy.
Ryan?
I believe Captain Raven-ass Butthole says they're chasing us. And Will Smith says, Really? Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think?
That's
Do you
just
not
how
have
we
a
talk in the
comeback, but
90s.
you want to be an asshole?
Yeah.
We are in a dogfight as Air Force pilots, and I still have the time to be like, doink!
He could have hit him with that no shit, Sherlock. Although, of course, then you're totally open for the dig deeper, Watson comeback. So you got to be careful.
Mine is the oldest brother from the trailer park, Miguel. He is just 90s incarnate, and then at one point, it feels
that
like
hair.
it just zooms in on him and his hair when he goes, "Dude."
Do
But we'll give that one to Do You Think?
you think?
Ryan, what is the musical moment?
Look, if Roland Emmerich wants to be Steven Spielberg, Dave Arnold wants to be John Williams. My goodness. And there's no point that proves this more than at the very end of the movie, it cuts to directed by Roland Emmerich, and the flute trills, the everything, like, like, just Xerox the music, baby. That's the music moment.
Greg?
For me, early on, there's almost no rock and or roll music in this, but early on, you hear "It's the end of the world as we know it," and it's like, okay, hang on, a little bit of a wink and a nod to people who know what's going to happen in the movie.
6 o'clock Independence.
It's called foreshadowing, Ryan. We all went in that movie. We're like, let's see this nice movie about Independence Day. What do you have for us, film? And then
I know
we hear
I saw
that
the trailer, but
a little ominous there. The end of the world.
And that song played while we were looking at a trailer. So it all works.
Ryan, yours was great. Greg's got it.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! I literally picked the only non-soundtrack, like the score part of the song.
What is the cringiest moment in this whole thing, Greg?
For me, it's got to be that cut to they're like, let's cut to Iraq. Let's see what's going on there. And it's like this full-on nomadic group, and like women come out of tents, and it's like
one of them is an Ewok throwing spears.
And it's like, it's not that I don't think that there's parts of Iraq like that. It's that it feels like this movie imagines there's no other part of Iraq, even though like our pilot president, he wasn't over there bombing tents. Like,
oh, he hated tents.
He hated all the tents. But so
that got so intense.
That was the moment where it's like, what are people like from other countries? And I imagine every country they would have cut to, it would have been the most offensive thing you could possibly imagine.
I mean, one of the ones that we didn't mention is Russia, and they're just pounding vodka.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
wrestling bears.
Well, they do that. Ryan, what is your cringe?
I mean, we have to go with Harry Connick again, and I will go with the Jesse Jackson speech.
Yeah.
And Will Smith just like, in his F1, and these guys can look at each other from plane to plane better than we can look at each other from car to car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just know what's going on. And he's like, God damn, that's a good Jesse Jackson voice.
I love it. Do more of that, Harry Connick Jr.
Already stealing black people's music at a nonstop rate.
Mine has been mentioned. Well, not my lawyer.
You cringed a lot?
The joke. I was like, oh, fuck, is this movie filled with this shit?
Dude, when you swing that hard, like, and then there's just nothing, is like,
well, he's acting alone. So,
yes,
you
I know.
You felt all the pressure on him.
That felt very much improv, and it's almost like you do an actor a favor by not taking all their improv. They're like giving you everything you could possibly use, and then you have to decide whether it's good or not. That's almost like an insult to him to leave that in the movie.
Yeah, it's like El Nino out there. Should we throw Viagra at the problem? Monica Lewinsky.
Honestly, an El Nino joke would have killed there. Yeah. At the time, there would have been a deluge of laughter. Right? An atmospheric river of ha-has.
They all look like Furbies.
El Nino jokes. Ryan, pound for pound performance.
I'm going with Brett Spiner. Because I've only seen clips of Data before.
Correct.
So, and that's a hard performance, but like, I think as an actor, you want to like go off a little bit, maybe chew the scenery sometimes when fucking Baldy McPicard is over there going, my God, the aliens, there's so many all of the time. Don't you want to just kind of go off? And what got this for me is not just that I do think that he had a little bit of freedom. Right? He was saying random ass shit. Like, you don't put into a script Big Tamale.
No, sir.
You come up with that on the spot.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could talk, he could move his lips, but his tongue stayed in the middle of his mouth the entire time. I don't know how you do that.
Greg,
I don't know if I want to be him or be with him. I'm deeply confused by my feelings towards Jeff Goldblum in this movie.
That necklace.
My wife is a big fan of Jeff Goldblum. Like she's, she finds him to be an attractive gentleman, which he certainly is, and that might be playing a part. I don't know, but like my eye just kept wandering over to this guy, and then on top of that, like I think he is like straddling the tone of this movie very effectively. Like he's bringing us the in scare quotes science when necessary, and then also reminding us of what some of like the more human stakes of the movie are, and he's mostly very funny throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I like, and this isn't take away from his performance, but like I thought he was so dour for most of it, especially compared to Ian Malcolm, which is such a fucking piece of shit, like such a cocky asshole.
Yeah,
and we didn't really get it until the goddamn end when his character is Art. And he can full on Will Smith swagger next to Will Smith. That
while
shot.
Making fun of it, which is, I think all of us can relate to that. I want to look cool, but I also want to make fun of it so nobody can make fun of me.
Also, I don't think I ever realized how tall he is and broad-shouldered. But like he's in great shape for this movie as well.
Oh, he's ripped. I do think though, if you drop your Robin Williams impression by 1 octave, that's Jeff Goldblum.
Mine, we didn't talk about him, I think, at all. And I will actually say, if you don't like it, I kind of get it. But I loved Jud Hirsch in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he is the heart and soul of the movie. And like, he's just such a wise man that he argues the Washington government into listening to him and his David. And the way he says, my David, is fucking adorable. And I love it so much.
Oh, no, it's full on. Like, usually it's moms. I need my mom to rescue me. But when David's down in the shit and everyone's yelling at him, he's like, you stop it. And you listen to my boy.
Yeah.
My beautiful boy. Who Greg is horny for.
I couldn't tell whether or not this character was like a Jewish icon or one of the most anti-Semitic characters of all time. Like, it's almost like a Jewish character written by somebody who has only seen Jewish characters on TV before. But funny.
Funny?
I read that
you
one
even
of the
said it like...
Is he funny? I don't know. One of the scenes that was cut for theatrical, but then put back for home, was him trying to lead a prayer circle. Did you guys see this scene?
Yeah, it's like someone's like, I'm not Jewish. And he's like, well, nobody's perfect.
James Redhorn.
Nobody's perfect.
That scene was cut because we don't want that's too Jewy for the movie.
And wow.
There was a lot of clapback and they put it in for video.
Oh wow.
Wow. Director's signature moment. Greg.
There was a signature moment in film in 1996, and it was the fucking White House being exploded. Watching that happen reminded me of the opening of Fahrenheit 451, where it was a joy to watch things burn, to watch them change and blacken. This movie, like so many other disaster movies, really helps us celebrate the fact that we kind of want to see everything get destroyed.
I mean, we've been talking all night about how patriotic, quote unquote, this movie is,
yeah,
how jingoistic, and yet we went to this movie to watch it get destroyed.
Because the ethos of the movie is that we want the system that exists to be destroyed, and we want something new, and it doesn't really lean on that, but we want a new president, a young president,
an alien president,
who speaks through Brent Spiner while he gently chokes him out. But yeah, that White House blowing up was we watched it happen for, I want to say, a calendar year. Yeah. And yet we were still I'm going to go see this movie because now I want to see that on the big screen.
And eventually he tried to capture that in a movie called White House Down. He's like, I could do it again.
I mean, it has to be that. It is in a clip show of movies, if the Oscar was going to be 150 years of movies, that's in there.
That's there.
And it was the Super Bowl commercial in the opening of the Super Bowl. And believe it or not, that wasn't done back then. It was all for
that kind of promotional tie-in with the Super Bowl.
It was all Pepsi and chips. And they were like, what if we did a movie thing here? And we were fucking ravenous. This really was such a big deal. We've had alien movies before. We've had disaster movies before. But this was such a big deal because they just kept hyping it by saying, these aren't aliens who come down and we have a couple discussions. We have a cup of tea. They're here to fuck us up. And that White House thing isn't just him because it was so iconic, but also because he couldn't put himself and then green screened a shitty helicopter exploding in the front. the White House thing, although it's clearly a model, looks so good. And then that helicopter, he's like, let me put a little bit more on there. Let me put a little salt.
People were just so excited to use any sort of like computer graphics back then that it didn't matter how janky it was. If you noticed they were computer graphics, you were actually excited because you're like, look, they use computers to make that look kind of weird.
Although I would say the best computer graphics of the movie when they have the skull and crossbones delivered to the alien. Wouldn't that have been better as Dennis Nedry laughing?
They should just use Dennis Nedry again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Then I agree. We all agree. Let's do our recommendations before I reveal who won and is my best friend. Ryan.
I'm going to go with not Spielberg's 1953's The War of the Worlds. This movie is fucking crazy. I have never read the book. I've only heard Orson Welles dabble in telling me about it, and then have seen this movie. And it is the common cold that does finally kill the aliens, but they don't figure that shit out until the last 10 minutes. The first 90 minutes are absolute destruction. And I think that was so rare back then, and it continued to be kind of rare until Independence Day. Of like, we have a chance though, right? You know, like The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is probably my favorite of these movies. The aliens come down and like they give us choices. They say, change your ways or we will destroy your planet. And the fact that they came down and we were like, oh, should we change or something? And they were like, I don't care.
Die.
And just fucking shoot us. That, and then it also has the thing that Independence Day does of bouncing around the country, big ensemble cast. The makers of Independence Day had seen this movie before, and The War of the Worlds is not a great movie. It's really corny even by 1953 standards, but definitely worth watching for some stuff that like your jaw's going to drop. You're going to be like, I did not know they did that back then.
Greg?
Yeah, also the book is pretty obviously anti-colonial, and that's interesting the way that this movie, Independence Day, doesn't really like lean too much on the fact that the aliens are a lot like colonizing civilization, like from our own history. But H.G. Wells was basically like leaning into that, and then the big change is what if the sickness went the other way, you know, instead of like the Western sicknesses.
Us, yeah.
Yeah. My recommendation is going to be a little bit lighter fare, but it is a video game that ripped off in so many ways the aesthetics of this movie. It came out just a short time after. It came out in 1997. It is StarCraft 64. If you want to play the final conflict in this movie, you can play that in StarCraft 64 because they basically lifted the entire idea of like the one big craft hovering down and then releasing a bunch of like individual dogfighting crafts you can fight. And it's not just that like, oh, that's been done before. They use the exact color palette of that scene. Like the way they design the ships is very similar.
But like that's what we're talking about though, is like not copying, not even homage, milestone.
Yeah.
Independence Day changed the game so that StarCraft just did that, obviously, not like to earn more money. It's just that this is how it looks now.
Yeah, I think it answered a problem that they actually had while designing that game, which is that they wanted to have some levels where you didn't go like down a corridor while flying, but instead while you flew around in a small area. But they couldn't make the area big enough to do anything other than just have dogfights in a very small area. And so then having a ship come down and release a bunch of little ships that you could then engage with one-on-one was actually like an answer to a question they probably had designing the game. And so it just gave them like an aesthetic layer to place on top of that.
Let me ask you this though about StarCraft. Are you like a fox with like a duck friend?
Yeah, you are actually the son of Star Fox. You're Star
Fox Jr.
Yeah. And near the end, after you win, you think your dad's gone, but he comes back and he helps you escape the problem. But was he really there, or was it just your memory of him?
Regardless, do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll.
Before you give yours, I don't want to ruin it, but have you seen Resurgence? Has anyone seen Resurgence?
No.
I have not. I have heard it is the worst movie of all time, and I'm kind of sad I didn't watch it before this.
Same. I at one point had the idea to watch that, to watch Stargate, to watch The World Day After Tomorrow, because like none of us are familiar with Roland Emmerich's filmography because he just does set pieces.
Is Resurgence the sequel to this movie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that was another thing that when I was like, I think I remember all movies that come out. When I saw that there was a sequel to this movie, I was like, oh yeah, oh my God, I totally forgot that.
I might be out of touch because that movie came and went so fast, I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Like I never made the decision like to not go to the movie theater to see it.
Yeah.
Just was there and gone.
Yeah.
My rec, and look, sometimes creators are dog shit people. So go to a library. Don't go to a Barnes & Noble. Definitely don't go to Amazon. Never buy a book from Amazon. Go to a library.
Woody Allen's autobiography.
and it's just like, I love his voice and love how he views the world. Go to, I want to get, it's both of them. It's Ender's Game and Speaker for the Dead, which is the sequel and a very different vibe. But if you want more interactions with how humans can interact with aliens and some of them slowly realize maybe we're the monsters, look, there's probably gross shit in these books because that guy is so gross. I haven't reread it in a long time, but these two books were great. Greg, keep me honest on this. Are these still worth reading?
It depends on how much you can divorce yourself from. I don't think there's a lot of his weird anti-homosexual stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff that would seem kind of gay in Ender's Game if you didn't know that he was like an avowed anti-homosexual. But
devout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, dude. But
I'm gonna pick my thing, and it's this.
And it's tough, Mike. But I have to say, those are two of the best sci-fi books ever written in terms of like really imagining what it would be like for two alien species to like interact and what their conflicts would look like and how we would resolve that, and also the implications of interstellar travel, like what it really means to send someone traveling at light speed and how that basically it disconnects them from the life that they know because everyone that they know dies while they're on the way to get where they're going. Yeah,
and I love this whole library idea though. Like, if never put $1 in their or their family's pockets again, but support your local library and read stuff by terrible people.
And it's so weird. Like, you finish Ender's Game and you're like, more of that, please. And Speaker for the Dead is a completely different.
It's so different. But one of the best evolutions of a character, if you were a child prodigy warmonger hero, you probably would be fucked up as an adult, and it follows that very well. So check that out. I can now reveal for the final time.
Oh, Mike! Hey, good season, buddy.
Mike, you did a great job, pal. Yeah,
and I don't know if we're still earning points or not.
Are we getting points for this?
Pens out of my head.
Okay, never mind.
I think what a wonderful 96 season.
Ryan, 58 points.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Greg, 59 points. You were the winner of Independence Day.
Wow! If I had known it was that close, I definitely wouldn't have stopped complimenting you right at the end there. That's scary.
He said, Greg, back me up on Ender's Game.
Woof,
that was it.
I was like, I'm gonna get canceled with you, bud.
We go down together.
Yes.
What? This is not. Look, we like to hem and haw and be like, any movie could win. This is not fucking winning movie in 1996. So what movies could this win?
Best violence.
Did we do Loudies?
Yeah, a lot of action scenes. I think that
on-screen duo. Dude, sign it. Put it right. We've got some good duos this year, but Goldblum and Smith.
I think that they only have one scene or one segment together, but I definitely think that they could be a Nami.
It's iconic.
That's like the most non-two-dimensional character acting of the entire movie is those two together knowing they're going to die.
It's great. Thank you
and best song, End of the World as we know it, and I Feel Fine.
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. 1990. You can sing. If it's a bet, if you lower your volume, you could do it the whole time while I'm talking my way out, Greg.
But I only know it's the end of the world.
And he only knows one volume.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking loud. It's been a great season. We're not done yet. We're talking. Coming up, the rest of the season is determining the best movie of 1996. But gosh darn it, what a journey we have been on. We will not go into the night. We will not go down without a fight. Thankfully, it only ran that once. I really thought the whole thing was going to run.
Should I go and fly a kite?
Until then, keep watching those movies.